Good morning, everyone. Welcome once again on this platform of USSW Alumni Cognition, which is a channel for social work and social advocacy. I am Dr. Vineeta Srivastava, Associate Professor in Social Work, and our today's session is devoted to witch hunting. Witch hunting is an important topic for UPSC Civil Services examination, particularly for the General Studies papers, where there is a mention of society, current issues, social problems, norms, traditions, values, beliefs, and policy for social welfare. Witch hunting is an important and relevant topic. Witch hunting is an extreme example of gender discrimination. Witch hunting involves branding of victims, especially women, as witches. Here, they are accused of possessing supernatural powers to harm others. The victims are subjected to numerous forms of humiliation and torture. This practice is still on in various parts of India. The practice of witch hunting is a grave social stigma. In order to understand the practical insights about the problem of witch hunting, we need to understand the gravity of the problem and its grave consequences. We need to understand the concept, background, and reality of witch hunting. We need to understand the role and actual practices of the institutions dealing with witch hunting, including NGOs, panchayats, police, judiciary, media, etc. Legal scenario also needs an analysis. From examination and advocacy point of view, we need to focus on conclusions and suggestions followed by questions and queries. In order to make this complex practice of witch hunting clear to you, I have divided my session in three parts. In this session, that is part 1, I will focus on the gravity of the problem and the grave consequences. In very short, legal purview will be shown to you. The main focus of this session, that is part 1, will be on the concept, background, and reality. We will also try to analyze the role expected and actual practices of the family, neighborhood, police, panchayats, community, judiciary, etc. In part 2, we will come to know about various international, national, and state level instruments or legislations to deal with this inhumane practice of witch hunting. This will be followed by conclusions and suggestions and questions and queries. Part 3 will deal with legal purview with particular reference to Rajasthan. We will particularly focus on Rajasthan Prevention of Witch Hunting Act 2015. Also, we will analyze Rajasthan Prevention of Witch Hunting Prevention Rules 2016, followed by questions and queries. In order to understand the gravity of the problem of witch hunting, let us focus on the data of the National Crime Record Bureau of India. The data discloses that more than 2,500 Indians have been chased, tortured, and killed in such hunts between 2000 and 2016. First of all, let us try to know that who are the victims of witch hunting. Basically, single women, widowed women, childless women, elderly women, women of lower caste with weak or no social support system are the victims of witch hunting. And in some cases, even the couple or the members of the whole family have reportedly been the victims of witch hunting. Now, let us focus on the places where this inhumane practice is on. Basically, the witch hunting is a customary practice in India and is prevalent in rural, isolated areas, especially among the tribal population. The incidents of witch hunting are prominent in 12 states of India, which are Assam, Bihar, Chhattisgarh, Gujarat, Haryana, Jharkhand, Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, Odisha, Rajasthan, Uttar Pradesh, and West Bengal. If we rely on newspaper reporting, then we would find cases of witch hunting reportedly in other states as well. For example, Delhi. It has been witnessed in tribal and rural areas that if widespread diseases occur or famine occurs, which causes deaths to animals as well as humans, the allegation develops on the most vulnerable people of the society for witchcraft, followed by violence. Witches are also convenient explanations for rising infant mortality rates and deaths due to malaria, typhoid, or cholera. People who brand women as darken or witch capitalize on deeply rooted superstitions and systems built on patriarchy to lay blame on females. Lack of education, awareness, literacy, and the prevalence of caste system have exacerbated the violence. Most of the states of India don't state witchcraft as a motive of murder. Till now, there is no specific laws enacted in Maharashtra and some of the states against witch hunting. There is no specific and particular national level legislation that penalizes witch hunting. Hence, various provisions and sections under the Indian Penal Code 1860 are being invoked for taking legislative actions. Different states, however, have come up with different legislations. Rajasthan women groups were fighting for prevention of witch hunting law for last 20 years. And finally, Rajasthan had a law in April 2015. It became the fifth state in India having such law. Let us have some more insights about the concept of witch hunting. For this, let us focus on some more definitions of witch hunting. Let us take the definition of Merriam-Webster on witch hunt. According to it, witch hunt is a searching out for persecution of persons accused of witchcraft. According to Collins English Dictionary, witch hunt is an attempt to find and punish a particular group of people who are being blamed for something, often simply because of their opinions and not because they have actually done anything wrong. This definition makes it clear that the victims of witch hunting have actually not done anything wrong. It is basically the preconceptions of some of the persons, influential persons of the community, to blame and brand them as causing witchcraft and causing harm to the society. Witchcraft is the practice and belief in magical abilities, and the one who possess one is called a witch or wizard. As the word is used in a negative sense, the people associated with witchcraft are looked at with suspicion and are socially less acceptable. Basically, witch hunting is the wicked practice where the women alleged of causing detrimental influences are branded as witches by ojas, the so-called supposed to be witch doctors or tantrics or community people, and are thereafter put to various kinds of heinous atrocities like haunted, banished, flogged, belted, thrashed, beating, burnt, etc. In some cases, even the victims and their children are socially excluded and even put to death. The women accused of being witches are called by various names like Dian, Dakan, Beta Khauki or Sun Eater, Adam Khauki or Man Eater, Bhutni, etc. Thus, witch hunting involves both physical as well as verbal abuse. By analyzing various definitions and details as discussed earlier, we have come to the conclusion that there is nothing like witch or Dakan or Dan. The fact is that it is a well thought strategy of some clever people to insult the poor, particularly women, to deprive them from their land and property. The practice of witch hunting becomes operational by lobbying and negative propaganda by a group of people having some vested interests. At times, the members of the family, neighborhood, community, caste groups, in connivance with Bhopa, propagate negative images of weak people, particularly women, in the community to fulfill their vested interests and materialistic requirements like property, personal revenge, gaining control, etc. Let us try to analyze what have been the concrete reasons of victimization of women through this practice of witch hunting. Actually, a combination of superstitious beliefs, religious practices, and patriarchal norms result in women being accused of witchcraft. Witch hunting is often deployed to deprive women of land and property, or to take revenge where women refuse to compromise, or to punish women for petty disputes. There have been instances where a woman is more intelligent and competent. Witch hunting is deployed to fail her or weaken her. Many a times, the members of their own family, neighborhood, and community are the perpetrators. Often, women themselves resist challenging the patriarchal norms and superstition. Blurring of boundaries between protector and perpetrator in the complex issue of witch hunting causes hindrances in punitive action. Often women themselves resist challenging the patriarchal norms and superstition. Lack of education, awareness, courage, support system, and health services have contributed to the continuation of this antiquated practice of witch hunting. Society and governments are hardly outraged over the torture, rape, and murders of tribal rural women in the name of witch hunting. As a result of this lethargic response and action, accused most of the times goes unpunished. After gaining some insights about this complex practice of witch hunting, let us focus and try to understand what have been the various institutions involved in the practice of witch hunting. Family is the first and the basic institution for the protection of women, followed by nearby institutions like community and panchayat. Law and police are also there to protect women against any torture or atrocities. But actually, at times, some of these institutions themselves become perpetuators of the practice of witch hunting. Let us focus on these institutions one by one with respect to the practice of witch hunting. At times, being innocent, the members of the family also become victims of the practice of witch hunting. But there have been instances where the members of the family, for monetary gains, personal rivalry, or family dispute, sometimes become perpetuators of the practice of witch hunting. Neighbors is the next institution which provides an helping hand at the time of crisis. On the other hand, neighbors, being innocent, may believe on the negative propaganda against the victim. There may be cases where, even knowing the truth, the neighbors may adopt an apathetic attitude due to the power dynamics of the area. And in some cases, neighbors may involve in the practice of witch hunting with the purpose of encroachment of the land and property of the victim. Now let's talk about community. Community is generally comprised of innocent people who are illiterate, uneducated, and unaware as far as this practice of witch hunting is concerned. And the community people often do believe on the negative propaganda against the victims and adopt an apathetic attitude towards the practice. Panchayat may play a very important role to stop this practice of witch hunting, but power dynamics and caste dynamics plays an important part in what role the panchayat plays in such cases. Panchayat many times may provide a supporting role in the practice of witch hunting. There is no national level legislation in India to prevent the practice of witch hunting. Some of the states like Maharashtra still do not have any specific legislation to deal with the practice of witch hunting. The other states like Rajasthan, Odisha, etc. have, however, come up with the legislation. But the enforcement in these states of the legislations is not that strict. As a result, the culprits of the menace of witch hunting hence remain unpunished. Lack of responsibility on the part of the police and orthodox mindset of the police personnel add to the poor enforcement of the legislation dealing with witch hunting. Lack of awareness, overburdened with other responsibilities. Lack of sensitivity or responsibility towards this crime add to continuing of the practice of witch hunting in India. Bhopa is an important institution in the practice of witch hunting. Bhopas and tantrics are supposed to be the witch doctors in the local areas. Generally, Bhopa is a male and a local resident. He is the one who is responsible in giving torture to the victims in the name of witch hunting. Basically, his income depends on the superstitions prevailing in the area. Now, let us talk about other institutions for the society which are meant to protect women and to maintain law and order in the area. NGOs have a huge responsibility to control and eliminate the practice of witch hunting, as they have a reach to the grassroots level. They need to be actively involved in survey, research, trainings, and awareness as far as the practices of witch hunting is concerned. They may play an important role in media advocacy and providing legal guidance and shelter to the victims in need. Some of the NGOs in some of the districts of Rajasthan, for example, Bhilwara and Rasamand districts, are doing a commendable job to deal with the menace of witch hunting. Media is also a very important institution which can make a difference. Media needs to be actively engaged in social advocacy in favor of victims, sensitization and awareness of the communities, and follow-up of the cases of witch hunting. Judiciary needs to keep a vigil for the strict enforcement of the law. In India, we require a national level law specifically to deal with the practice of witch hunting. Also, India has given its approval to various international instruments like United Nations Declaration for Human Rights and Convention of Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women. But a lot needs to be done to implement the provisions of these international instruments to the grassroots level of rural India. These are three pictures depicting the practice of witch hunting in India. The first one is the newspaper cutting on witch hunting. You will find numerous news in national as well as local newspapers reporting the practice of witch hunting, but the conviction rate in such cases is negligible. The second one is the picture of a bhopa, the so-called witch doctor, pretending to treat the witch. The third picture is of a poor woman after being tortured on the pretext of being a witch. The photos of the victims of torture of witch hunting practice are so scary and heartbreaking. So students, after going through the above details about the concept and practice of witch hunting and the institutions involved in the practice of witch hunting, we have come to understand the fact that there is nothing like witch, that witch hunting is the actual practice carried on by some clever persons or groups to grab the property of the women or to take revenge or to control over the women. Through lobbying and propaganda, innocent community people are involved as a tool in the practice of witch hunting. Bhopa, supposed to be the witch doctor, is generally a local person who derives capital gain based on superstition, and he plays an important role in causing this heinous crime against women. We've come to know the fact that witch hunting is a well thought strategy of some clever people to insult the poor, innocent women, particularly lonely women. To conclude, we have understood in this session the concept of witch hunting, we have understood the gravity of the problem, its pattern and prevalence. We have analyzed in very short the legal purview also, and we have gained understanding about various institutions involved with the practice of witch hunting. We have analyzed what roles do we envisage for these institutions and what are the actual practices played by these institutions. Now, let us focus on some of the questions frequently being asked in various competitive exams as far as the practice of witch hunting is concerned. The first question is, give details of NCRB data about prevalence of witch hunting in India. Discuss witch hunting with particular reference to India. There may be a question, describe the reasons of prevalence of witch hunting. Next question may analyze the role of various institutions in the practice of witch hunting in India. Next question is, what are the reasons for the prevalence of witch hunting in India? What needs to be done to tackle this menace? Hope we would be able to answer all these questions. I hope that you must have got some new insights about the grave social problem of witch hunting prevailing in India. Hope this will not only help you in your examination, but also you will create awareness about this practice in your nearby areas. The next part of the session follows soon. Thank you very much.